Welcome to the Principles Experience. This channel is designed to give you financial content in the areas of business, finance, and investing, while bringing you stories of the mindset of entrepreneurs and their tips on building the business. Sit back and learn on how you can develop your financial wisdom and create a blueprint for financial freedom. Welcome to another edition of the Principles Experience. My name is Kevin Jenkins. I'm here with a special guest of mine, Coy Brown. This is the 14th episode, and the name of this episode is The Power of Speaking. We have a great episode detailed for you guys. We're going to talk a lot about the business behind speaking, just the process of creating a speaking business, the process of becoming an author and how it is as far as the publishing process. And we're also going to talk a lot about the mind and how the mind really plays into you creating a reality that you want for your life. So you guys are definitely in tune for a special episode. And before we begin, I did want to highlight a situation that happened in the Black community over this past weekend on Sunday. There was a 29-year-old Black man by the name of Jacob Black. He was shot in the back 7 times by a white officer. And by the graces of God, you know, he didn't die, but he was severely paralyzed. And I think as all of us as young Black men, we have to continue to speak on these situations. It's just unfortunate. I mean, this is another case. It's been very, very sad this year just to see a lot of the lost souls that have been affected by police brutality. I mean, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. There's so many different names, and all we can do is pray and hope for the better and continue to bring tremendous change in our communities and continue to speak on these situations with other people that don't look like us so they can understand the state that we're in as African Americans here in America. So I want to send out my prayers and thoughts to the Jacob Blake's family, and you all are in our prayers, and I pray for the best, and I hope that the officers are, I hope they get the time that they deserve. Now, Coy, I didn't know if you wanted to mention on the situation that recently happened with Jacob Black.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Again, first and foremost, definitely we want to send the prayers and obviously just the energy and the love to all victims, but obviously Jacob, the one that just happened recently this past week. I just had a meeting today with the lady, a great lady, and we were just speaking about it. I got another notification. I got one yesterday, but now today it looks like the NBA might have, I think the Clippers and the Lakers are, I think, in works or potentially looking to cancel the season for social injustice. I know the MLB has canceled games for their games in this season. The WNBA has canceled as well. So what I'm enjoying and seeing is that sports entertainment is taking a stand in social justice, injustice, and backing that, whether it's Black Lives Matter or people of color, just injustice from police brutality. The second thing is that, as I was speaking to her this morning as well, it's saddening, and I might have mentioned this to you, it's saddening and frustrating because we still haven't seen any change, real change, when you have a body of people outcrying for help, and there's no return, right? There's no return investment to really see that. And I think, obviously, as we continue to change our education system to show the realities of slavery, of injustice, of people of color being not treated equally and having less opportunity historically and systematically, we have to change our paradigm in our education first, still our local governments, our local environments, and obviously as we work our way up to the political ladder, this has to be real change and have someone, regardless of color or of color, actually be invested, engaged, and want to make the change.
I totally agree. So I wanted to give you all a quick background of how I met Coy and a little of the connection that I have with him. So this is a great friend of mine, a person that I go to for wise counsel of just navigating through life. He has tremendously done a lot of great things within his profession as he's become a great speaker and also an author. We went to college, me and Coy went to college with each other at Bowling Green State University in Bowling Green, Ohio. And that was all the way back in, I want to say 2011 I came in. I'm sure you were there all the way up into 2014, I want to say.
Yep.
And I remember Coy was playing on a Division I football team. I remember going to a lot of different games and seeing him play. And I remember meeting him initially through a mutual friend in college. And we also got a chance to develop our connection a lot more as we grew. And we went to a network marketing event in East Lansing. I want to say that was probably 2015. And we got a chance to really learn about that business. And that's when I found right then and there that Coy had a great intuition towards speaking and inspiring others. And that opportunity in itself has allowed me to be able to network a lot more effectively and build relationships with other people, and really specifically build a team of other like-minded individuals. And I just want to say your transformation that I have seen with you evolving into a speaker, you're an author, a father, a husband, an advocate for higher thinking. Those are all the words that come to mind when I think of you. And I just want to tell you, man, thank you for coming on the show, and wanted to ask you, how have you been?
Absolutely, man. First off, thanks for having me. I appreciate the great introduction.
No problem.
You're going to get people who are listening, they're going to get a great image and hype me up.
Yeah.
But man, life has been really well. Obviously, we have COVID, things been going on. But, my daughter just turned 4 on August 20th. My fiance turned 30 on August 14th.
Congrats.
And she's excited, and really just been really well. My daughter's really growing, and just throughout her development, my fiance is really just excited about her career. She's looking to expand. She's a therapist, so looking to get her own office here soon. I'm still doing a lot of things in the community. So as a cohesive, collective group, things have been just going well. We're looking, toward the future with a positive light.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, I wanted to begin this podcast by just asking you, can you share with the world just a story of a little of who Coy is, and just kind of explain a little bit about you?
Yeah. So, I'll step back and kind of share my story. But first off, Coy is someone who's very vibrant, very outgoing, very understanding, humanitarian, loving, patient. I'm someone who wants to help the betterment, the greater good of people as a community. I want to see the development, the growth, and the expansion, spiritually, mentally, physically, and really break the barriers of society. I'm someone who's always pushing the boundaries of status quo, always pushing the boundaries of what's possible in today's world. So first off, for those listening, that's really who I am, someone who's to heart looking to inspire people to see the change in themselves. But to kind of explain a little bit about my story, first off, I'm originally from Elkhart, Indiana, which is just right about 20 minutes from Notre Dame University, if you know where South Bend's at. Born and raised from a single mother, the youngest of 3. And, growing up, sports was a big thing in my life, really in all of our lives. My brother played any sport under the sun. My sister was playing softball and volleyball and did gymnastics as a young girl. And I kind of really followed my brother's footsteps because my brother was someone who was kind of like a father figure. My dad wasn't around and still hasn't been in my life to this day. But, my brother was an athlete. He was well-liked, good looking. He was kind of like that poster child that I want to look up to. And as I developed, as I matured, I realized football was something that I was pretty good at. And, through middle school, this is probably about the time I really realized that. And I said, look, man, if I could really put the time in and the work, I could probably take this to the next level. As I always tell people, football was really my golden ticket. That was my Willy Wonka to get out of where I was at. And not saying my life was, detrimental or any poverty, but I knew family dynamics that we couldn't afford college. And I really kind of took on to myself that was my next step. I wanted to take that family pride and really take on to the next level. So as I got to high school, started going to camps, went to the SEC, the Big Ten, the MAC, really you name it. I was really everywhere training, meeting other coaches, and putting the work in at home with my uncle. And, sure enough, around my sophomore, junior year, I got blessed and I was fortunate enough to get a full ride scholarship from a few schools in the MAC and then IU as well, and ended up going to Bowling Green State University and leaving in 2000, January 2012, which is when I first enrolled on campus, and it really kind of took off from there.
Mm-hmm. Now, I wanted to ask you, can you please give an overview of the company that you created in 2016 called You Deserve to Win?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of going into that story that I kind of cut off, when I got to Bowling Green, like I said, I thought football was it. But as I evolved, I got big into reading and self-help books. Speaking of network marketing, that really kind of prompted what did I want to do? Like I was like, who is Coy Brown? What is my passions? What motivates me? Like where do I see myself in the future? And I was getting real serious and introspective of what my future looked like. And as that grew, I really kind of pivoted. My focus and my attention really went away from football to entrepreneurship. I realized I had an innate ability to connect people, to listen, and very intuitive and good at what I was doing, which is maybe connecting people or sales or development, creativity type stuff. And come 2014 of July, about 2.5 years into my college, I decided to leave and get into sales, which then prompted me to meet a gentleman named Bob Protner, which I'll touch on later. But it got me to what I'm speaking now, to your question of my speaking company. And really what that is, I started that in 2016 in April. And it's really on two premises of one, understanding that, look, there's something inside you. There's a livingness, there's a power that if you can, tap into that, start to study yourself, start to study these laws, these non-man-made principles, whether it's spiritually or biblically, you can really put yourself in the driver's seat and really change your life, but not something that's, kind of pie in the sky. But these are things that are tangible, that you can really use. On the other hand, it was, there's hope. There was someone like myself who was looking for an avenue that, if I could find something to help me propel myself and understand that there's more in me than there's outside of me. Yes, I will deal with life's circumstances, right? That will happen. It's life. But knowing that there's something inside of me, and that if I can hold that faith, hold that vision, and mix it with, like I said, principles, and apply that, I can shift everything.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's great to see, what you've created is continuing to evolve, but I can definitely see that the vision of what you just said is vividly being seen within your company. Now, for someone that's looking to become a speaker, can you explain the process of establishing a target audience and landing speaking engagements? How was it for you at the beginning to where it is now?
Yes, very different. I'll say that, and I'll let you guys know who are listening. In the beginning, I was not a speaker. I was not comfortable. I wouldn't be comfortable speaking to ghosts. But, in reality, if I had a project in school, I was hoping it was a group project. So for those who are looking to get into speaking, I think there's I always tell people that there's 4 ways to get downtown. And what I mean by that is there's 4 different perspectives or avenues or paths, journeys that you can become a speaker. I don't think there's just one way. But one, I guess, from my perspective, things I can help you with or kind of share my experience is that in the beginning, I really had to figure out what did I want to speak about. Like, motivational speaking is vague. It's very open. But what avenue, what lane did you want to speak upon? And what was I good at? Or what are you good at? And that was motivational speaking, inspiring people about the mind, about understanding how this behavior, this activity, our mind can really help us. That was the first thing, to figure out your message and what you're good at. 2 is, figuring out, is practicing your message, practicing your story. So you have your message. Now it's, how can I practice my story? Get really good at telling your story, whether it's a 5-minute, 10-minute, 20-minute story. Get really good and detailed on explaining that to new people, maybe to a presence of people that you're going to speak to, but also get really good at speaking to yourself and understanding your body behavior, your tonality, the way you say things. For me, I was really intrigued about how I spoke to myself in the mirror, certain expressions. So get comfortable with your voice. I was kind of like a Frank Sinatra. I really didn't like my voice, but I was told I had a good voice, and I'd always critique myself. I wasn't comfortable in my voice. So those, I would say, the first 2 things. After that, you would definitely want to get set up by creating a one sheet. What I mean by that is kind of just writing down, if you gave a piece of paper to somebody, a company or a CEO or someone who wants to employ you to speak with their company, it kind of gives a breakdown what your name is, what you speak about, your topics, some little bit of content, some resources or references from other people I've heard you speak. And kind of like I said, just a breakdown and links to what you're doing. Beyond that, really just start speaking. And that was the biggest thing for me too, as well. Just the elementary idea of start speaking, getting that verbiage out, get comfortable speaking, and creating content, whether on your social media, anywhere, blogging, emails, just getting that out. So, people get to know who you are. Like in the beginning, it's who are you? You're this new kid on the block. You got to break through obscurity. What can you provide, right? What can you bring to the table? People are looking at you, and what makes you different. Mm-hmm. So that's a few things that I think were very important if you're going to start, really expanding and, creating a speaking company or a personal development company, are a few points to really get started.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that, it's great what you said about being able to know exactly what you want to talk about, have a sense of direction or a purpose of what your target audience is going to be. And I can think just from the outside looking in, just the repetition, putting the reps in, like practicing on your own, like you said, in the mirror, looking at different ways of how you can get in your local community, speak for free. Those are great ways where you can get the reps in so you can be more comfortable once you step in that role. You won't be as afraid. So I couldn't agree more. Now, you also have had experiences with being an author. You have written 2 books, which we call Steps Worth Taking and The Writing Gallery. You also have written some poems as well. And I noticed from your website, you're very active when it comes to blogging. And I wanted to ask, when it comes from just the book perspective, when you first started writing your first book, how did you come to the realization of how long it was going to be, what you were going to sell it for, and exactly how you were going to go about publishing it?
Yeah. So the first off, when I was back in college, I realized writing was something I was really good at and I enjoyed. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. So when I guess you get into maybe becoming an author, when I looked at making 2 books, one was Steps Worth Taking. That's a self-help book. The other one was a poetry book called The Writing Gallery. When I looked at those ideas, for me, I was somewhat in a position where I wanted just to get my information out. As we're talking about speaking and creating a speaking business, I knew most speakers, most orators had, other content, other credibility things, which is books or programs. And I knew writing was something I could do. I could add to my repertoire to make things a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. And when I sat down, I really didn't have necessarily an idea of length. Mm-hmm. I just knew I had, 23 to 24 topics that I wanted to talk about. And that's ideally what Step Worth Taking. So for me, it was like, okay, what do I want to talk about? It was about positivity plus action. I wanted to create a book, an implementation, a guide for the viewer or the reader to read an idea. How can we challenge the reader to start actively using this in their lives, and then create some change, whether it's big or small, in their life. So, for me, it was, like I said, 22 chapters. I wrote on different ideas, about a page or 2 length. And, after that, it was more or less, do I want to self-publish or go through an agency? And there's pros and cons for both. As, I did my own research, and those who are listening can obviously do your research. I reached out to other authors who were doing very well, who were on Amazon and other sites, and I reached out to local people who did self-publishing. It just depends on what you want, either more control or maybe, I guess, more presence in kind of your Barnes & Noble type stores. Mm-hmm. But for that idea, I knew as I was publishing, this was a slow drip. And I like that because I got it from a friend, Robert Marshall from Chicago. Mm-hmm. It was a slow drip. I knew this was just a little process that was a part of the journey. I wasn't trying to make a lot of money. And that's another thing you have to worry about. Do you want to make a lot of money or not? Mm-hmm. I knew this book wasn't going to be perfect, but behind it and beneath it had a great message, a simple message, but effective message. And that was what I wanted to get across. That was a simple message I wanted to get across for Steps Worth Taking, and making sure that was evident. For my writing book for poetry, I love poetry because it's so carefree, but it's also so elegant in its nature. that for my poetry book, I just combined a lot of poems that I've written over the years. And I wanted that to be just a vessel to show people that, look, you can write a book. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's a book of your work. And I wanted to inspire other people who may have been through trauma or been through any type of experience that don't share their writings, that are writing poems but don't want to share it. But look, these are writings that I have that were personal experience that I may not say as the individual, but you may see it through my writing. That, you know, this is something that can be powerful and can be inspiring. And like I said, that's why I called it Writing Gallery. I enjoy art, and I enjoyed combining all these pieces to create a piece of art, which is a book.
Yeah, man, I think when it comes to poetry and just writing a book, it really is an art. You know, it's an art of telling your story from your perspective with whatever you're focusing on. And one question that I just thought of, I wanted to ask you is, how did you, when you created Steps Worth Taking, for someone that just is wanting to know how long they should write each day, how long, well, first I want to ask, how many minutes did you set aside every day or hours to write? And how long did it take you from, whether it's a year perspective, monthly perspective, on actually creating your first book?
Yeah, good question. I don't think I'd touch on that. I actually started writing those books in 2004, I think in 2015. That's when I started writing these books. So it was like, you know, 3-year process. So for those of you who are listening, remember that, and I'm gonna be honest too, I'm not a perfect writer in the sense that I don't really operate beginning, middle, end. Like I have a bunch of ideas and then I put it on the paper and then I divvy it up to make it perfect. So for whatever writing style you have, use that. Like I said, use what you're good at. But like I said, going into that, I just wrote every day. I didn't have necessarily a time frame, but I did want to, I guess, at least write for, remember, 15 or 30 minutes. And I would do that late at night. For me, I was at that time, I'm not even old, but now I go to sleep early. At that time, I was up like 2, 3 in the morning. I would get coffee, I'd throw music on, and I would just write. Whatever came to my mind. So whatever method works for you, do that. I just did it late at night. You could do it early in the morning. But I would try to set aside 15 to 30 minutes a day. And obviously over time, it kind of formulated. And, you know, don't be perfect with it. You know, write as much as you can, whatever's on your mind, and then go back and edit it, maybe look at it, reread it. This process of creating a book it can be draining, but don't make it be a perfection. Just get your stuff out. Later you can critique it. You know, I sent it to my writing professor that we had at BG. I sent it to her and she edited it. And then I got it back and redid it, sent it back to her, sent it to another person. So, you know, take your time with it, be patient. But yeah, give yourself, you know, a time frame, do it at night, morning, midday, whatever works best for your schedule.
Yeah, I think that's going to help a lot of people out there that are looking to, you know, write, you know, a book. I think that was very great advice. Now, me and you have had many conversations on the power of the mind, and you even have recommended me a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And it speaks on a mind-body connection. It also talks a lot about habits and how to be able to change negative habits to kind of create the desired result that you have in your mind, and also with your self-image. And I know you're going to touch on that shortly, but can you talk about the changes that you had to make with your mind to fulfill the reality that you saw for your life?
You know, for me, the biggest thing was a self-image in a sense of breaking through a lot of insecurities that I was holding on to my childhood or through things that I was running from mentally. But the biggest thing is I had to tell myself is with speaking in general, the speaking companies, that in order to me to walk in this life, I have to change. And what I mean by that is, yes, I had to change habits, but I had to change the way I was thinking positively and negatively about myself and my view of the world, which wasn't negative, but I had to start looking at things of, you know, if I want to become the speaker or author or whatever avenue that I want to get into, there has to be some rewiring, right, in my computer, in my brain, for me to really elevate and get to that ceiling that I'm looking to get into. And that took me down a trail of getting into psychology, philosophy, the subconscious mind, and tapping into the idea of, you know, if I go through repetition and stay committed to an idea, eventually the new habit is going to outweigh my old habit, and I'm going to become into a new person.
Mm-hmm. I definitely, no, you're fine. For those of you that don't know, like he said at the beginning, he does have a 4-year-old daughter. So, but I did want to kind of give people a perspective as far as, like, for me, I know, like, I read a lot of books too that talk about the mind. And I think another good book out there for my viewers, I don't know if you read it, Coy, but it's called The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murray. And it's a great book. I mean, another good one is As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Me and Shaq have read that book as well. And I think that when it comes to the subconscious mind, you have to really utilize all of the power that we have and know that the subconscious mind cannot tell between what is real and what's fake. So as long as you are focused with an end result in mind, and I got that line from another great book recommendation is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And he said, always begin everything with an end in mind. And I think as long as you're looking at your goals, you have a deadline, you're visualizing the results, you're putting in a proper plan, and that you actually believe. A lot of when it comes with your mind, it's just you simply believing. As long as you believe in yourself, you know, no one can be against you. So I think that those are some strategies that I have done. Vision boards have been a great way for me to help visualize my end result of what I want my legacy to be in life. So I think all of those things that me and Coy said are going to be some great strategies that you can implement with using your mind to create the life that you deserve. Now, the next question I wanted to ask is, you've had the privilege of being mentored by one of the most renowned speakers with Bob Protner, and you actually met him through Darren, which also he was a part of the Proctor Gallagher Institute. And you've also gotten a chance to hear E.T. speak on many occasions, which E.T. is Eric Thomas, for those of you out there that may not know. He's a speaker as well. And I wanted to ask, how have those experiences shaped you into the person that you are today?
You know, for me, and I apologize, my daughter's back here probably yelling, you guys listening. But for me, it was hope. You know, for me, it's like Robert Bannister, when he broke that 4-minute mile, you know, when I see these gentlemen speaking, Eric Thomas, Bob Proctor, it showed me that, look, these two guys, one's white, one's black, right? But one didn't graduate high school. One was a dropout and homeless, eating out of, you know, trash, and got his doctorate now, right? It's Dr. Eric Thomas. Bob Proctor was high school dropout, not any lick of formal education. But both these men have developed and become such powerhouses in themselves and across people. So for me, looking at these two people, it was such an inspiration to know that, look, these two men literally changed the perspective on their lives by being serious and taking their lives seriously and being around the right people and applying themselves as well with the information they were studying and gathering. And, you know, staying true to themselves. So that was the biggest thing, regardless, you know, what they're sharing with Eric Thomas and his work and Bob Proctor with his work. The first and foremost was that, you know, there was a way, you know, for me to do the same thing and live my truth and live a life that I truly desire and that I'm also, you know, wanting. So that was the biggest thing.
Yeah, I definitely. For those of you that, you know, haven't heard those two individuals, those are great people to just listen to on a regular basis. I know with Bob Protner, I actually found him out first by, you know, hearing that you were working with him. And I remember I'd done a lot of research with just looking him up online. And one of the first videos that I saw by Bob Protner was The Laws of the Universe. And he goes really in depth of the law of attraction, the law of motion, which is really talking about how energy is transferred from one thing to another, but everything in life is motion. The trees outside are motion, the cars that are moving. So when you look at it from that perspective, he's very great with just the psychology of the mind and breaking that process down. So I think, you know, Bob Protner with Eric Thomas, I've listened to so many podcasts by him and just how he has created ETA, everything that he's doing with Game Changers, with his speaking development company that he has. It's just great to see those two individuals. They had an idea of what they wanted to do in their mind, and they were just very intentional and deliberate of accomplishing that end goal. Now, I wanted to shift this conversation and talk about kind of how you have had to make adjustments in your speaking career in the midst of COVID. And I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
what challenges have that exactly brought when it comes to speaking engagements and having public gatherings? And can you elaborate on the adjustments you've had to make in speaking in other ways, possibly online, or also just creating other business ideas?
Correct. Yeah, man, COVID definitely took a twist and a curveball for I think many people in many industries. I do want to take a step back and let you guys listening know, speaking of speaking engagements, when I was starting my company and those who are inspiring to become a speaker or anything really of that nature, realize what you're good at. Because for me, when I was starting to get started, I realized I needed to get in front of people that were making the decisions. So for you guys who are looking to maybe you're in the process, maybe you do speaking now, you're looking to expand and get more engagements. Yes, like Kevin said, definitely do it for free, whether you reach out. For me, I reached out to my middle school teacher and I spoke to his class for free. Get those warm-ups out, right? Get those reps and those free throws in. But when you get to that next level, for me, I realized social events. I had to create great relationships, authentic relationships with people in my community. And I got very involved with social events, whether it was the South Bend Chamber, it was Young Professional Network events, any community or company events they put on for the community. I got really involved and got my name in the community and got really good at telling my story, as I mentioned earlier, as a step. And that got me a lot of organic interest, right? People were leaning in. Who is this guy? What are you doing? I had a lot of meetings with a lot of people in the community. I was posting it on my social media, which I call create a lot of buzz and marketing on my page. I know Kevin, and Kevin knows this business owner, and the business owner wanted to know who I was because how did he know me and him? So you created a lot of buzz in that presence. So I just want to let you guys know, get involved in your community, get involved in getting your name out there. Like you really got to take that step, that initiative to step on the unknown. Like you're a new body, a new person looking in this field, and it's okay to be seen, but be confident in yourself as you're doing that. So I just wanted to mention that. I just said speaking engagements. So getting with COVID, kind of a few things that was different. For me, it was now speaking obviously through virtual. I think a lot of people experienced that. I did speaking to companies virtually, and it's for I think it's a challenge for speakers is how do you become effective when you're not in the same room, right? How do you feel that energy, that vibrancy when you're in your house or you're at the office? So that was a big challenge. It really got me thinking of how can I be of more service, right? We get paid off the service to our value to the marketplace. So for me, it got me thinking about who's Coy Brown. And I want you guys to think of like a web, right? My name or your name is in the middle. And I started thinking, okay, Coy Brown is a speaker and author, but what else am I really good at? And I had ideas, and I'm actually in the works right now creating a business with hemp. I'm huge about the environment and eco-friendly products. So I have an idea, and I'm in the works creating something with hemp products. Now, I also got involved with humanitarian projects that I'm involved with that I can expand my service in the community already, which is the Boys and Girls Club Board of Directors and the Sapa Museum, being an ambassador and advocate for them, and even the Latino YPN, being the vice president for that. So I started to expand myself, right, with these little legs of what can I do. I also looked at an idea of becoming a content creator for people who are looking to create poems, creating mission statements, vision statements, and content creating where they can give me their information, and I will kind of, massage that out and then express that in a more professional, clear, concise, and very fluid manner where it's getting their message across in the right light. Along with that, I looked at acting, modeling, also doing voiceovers. So not only am I a speaker, right, that I can speak in person, but I can do commercials, right? You can do commercial on the radio. You can do commercials on TV. So I want you guys, or I guess even myself, I had to get creative of what can I do that is an online presence, because now I think the world's going to go to more online business, which is booming. But two, how can you be more diverse? And I think COVID really showed me and many people that you can't be one-dimensional. You cannot be one-dimensional with just speaking. And that really helped. And that's kind of the few things I've been doing since COVID's kind of hit, is being more diverse in my repertoire of what I'm offering to other people than just speaking.
Yeah, like you said, I think, you have to be multi-purpose, multi-dimensional. You have to be able to look at it from just a corporation standpoint.
Yep.
Corporations, they have all of these different departments. They have all of these different tasks and responsibilities that go out to all of these different departments, but they've created a corporation where they go by a specific business plan, and then they're carrying out all of these other activities. So I think you have to look at it truly from a business owner perspective. Like, you don't want to just succeed at one thing, but you want to do, multitude of things right. You want to be able
Right.
to offer many different services, like you said, and it's great. And now that's the adjustments that I'm trying to make as well, is not only creating content, but looking at ways of how I can really give more value to people that are looking to expand their finances and learning about investing and all of these different things.
Yep.
Like I said, with COVID, it has definitely, made me more wise of adapting and pivoting with being able to grow a business. And I'm seeing that with you as well. And I think that for those out there, you have to be able to be flexible, because there are things that are going to happen in life that we can't control. There's things that we just simply can't. But what we can do is, keep a positive mind frame and make sure that we are multi-purpose in all that we do. So
Yes, sir.
I definitely agree. Now, I know you spoke on through our previous questions about your humanitarian work, and I always tell everyone, I believe that the true meaning of life is becoming a servant and being of service to others. That's why we're here on this earth. And I wanted to ask you, what is the importance to you when it comes to giving back and just participating in philanthropy?
Yeah, I read a good quote, and I forgive me for not remembering, but in kind of overview is saying we have enough getters in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Be a go-giver, right? Be a go-giver because you want to, not because you're holding some type of obligation of receiving something in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, being in humanitarian projects and philanthropy, I'll be honest, that's just me. But beyond that is the reason why I feel so passionate about it, because, I always felt that there was a need to help other people, whether they need the service or they don't. I wanted to make sure they were taken care of. And being, African-American, half African-American, half Hispanic, being my mom was a single mother, having no father, I understand there's other people, there's other adults and kids, depending on the organization and the nonprofits, that need that, right? They need other men, other women that can share their experiences, that can help with either their time or the money, and help them get back to community. So for me, it's always been something that's bigger than me, that where I feel, satisfaction in helping people feel more comfortable and get the right resources or the love, the appreciation, the recognition that's going to help fuel them and make them feel better as a person and as a community, depending on what project I'm a part of. It's just, I guess, human to human care. It's human to human love, and it makes a better environment for all people.
Yep. And it kind of like what you said at the beginning, your innate drive is to not only inspire, but just help with the betterment for humans, just
Yes.
in the world. And I think when you give, you are really being selfless. You're really, you're leading
Yep.
the cause beyond yourself. So for all of you out there, definitely give in any way possible. If you can give and volunteer your time with any foundations, getting out in the community like Coy is doing, those things are going to bring tremendous value to not only yourself, but the other people that you're helping.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
I wanted to wrap up this episode by just asking you, how can the people connect with you or even reach out to you for future speaking engagements?
Yeah, so I would love personally. I'll give my number to you guys. I definitely want to connect people on an authentic level. I want to hear, if there's anything going wrong. I want to be completely 100% honest. I've been through certain things that maybe me and Kevin didn't talk about. There's been experiences. There's been relationship issues. There's been a lot of things I've worked on myself as a speaker, as a father, as a community advocate. That's making me a better person overall. So, don't feel shy. Don't hesitate if you're going through some things. I'm always willing to listen and offer any advice if possible. So I'll give you my number, and it's 574-226-5983. Once again, it's 574-226-5983. Feel free to shoot me a text. Obviously, just mention, your name and from the podcast. But that's one way I think that I can authentically give myself to you and hear your story and hear what's going on for those who are listening. Secondly, my website, it's www.coybrown.com. Feel free to give it a look, go through it. My email, obviously, you can contact me on there. You can also contact me through my email, which is you deserve to win, YOU deserve, TOWIN @gmail.com. And my social medias, Facebook is just Coy Brown, and you'll see a picture of me and my fiance on there. And then Instagram is Coy_Brown. So, you can find me on a lot of my platforms and those avenues, but I'm definitely open to connecting and obviously building a relationship moving forward.
Thank you for sharing that, and definitely reach out to him, guys, if you all, like he said, want to learn more about what he does. And he genuinely is a good friend of mine, and he definitely truly wants to help people. And for me, I also wanted to give my contact information out there too as well, because I feel like the more authentic that we have conversations with people in the world, we can help inspire and help brighten someone's day by just simply texting them and being able to have a conversation with them. So my contact information, if all of you want to reach out to me, I'm open to learning more about my audience as well. My number is 313-520-2053. Also, when it comes to the podcast, it's on all audio platforms. So if you type in the Principles Experience, you'll be able to listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whichever audio platform that you use. Most of you are probably watching this on YouTube, but for those that are listening to the podcast, my YouTube channel is KevinN.Jenkins. And then also my Instagram is KevNJenkins. And I'll put my link tree in the notes, so you all, if you want to contact me, I also have some other content information through that link as well. I'll put that in the show notes, and you all will be able to get in touch with me. So once again, I want to tell you, thank you all for watching or listening. This has been the 14th episode of the Principles Experience. Thank you again, Coy, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And want to tell you all, take care and stay safe.
I will see you.